Alright guys, today we're talking about propagating a tea plant. It's super simple, and you basically just take a tea plant and you're going to make it from a cutting. But there's a few things you're going to want to do to really have it successfully take off. And I'm going to show you this one here. This is a nice tall one that I have growing indoors. My chameleons are pulling the branches and stuff off of it as they're climbing up it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off right down here. See how big this is? I'll probably get at least 2 nice plants out of it, and you can get more than that. I'm going to probably do right in here. See that there? Just cut that off. And what's going to happen is within probably about 2 weeks or so, if that, right here where this was cut off, you'll start having little pieces pop out all around it. 4 or 5 of them. They might even start lower on there. So this one head right here will end up being a minimum of 2. Probably 5 or 6 realistically. And this here, I can cut it again and make another one here, and I'm going to show you the best way to make that grow, and I'm going to show you what we need to do to the top to make it grow right. So follow me. And this is the cutting from the tea plant that I just took. Just topped that one plant, really healthy one, really nice leaves. Again, I hate doing it, but the chameleons are just ripping them off anyways. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make 2 plants out of this one. I could easily make 3 or 4. I'm gonna cut it again right about here. That's probably right above that node there. See that? We'll leave that there. I'm gonna come back, actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Good practice after you cut something like this, because you don't want to skin the wrong side of it, because you want to pull some of this bark off. Go ahead and do it right away as you do it. These nodes grow up, so if it does get confused if you cut a bunch of them, just kind of know that. But I can go ahead and start scraping this bark right there, and the reason I'm doing that is because it's going to make it easy for the roots to pop out when I stick it in the ground. Now after you scrape this, you can use a rooting hormone or anything you want on it to try to make it grow better. I have a rooting hormone as well, but it's not necessary. It really isn't. It's all you got to do. You take that right there and you stick it in the ground, and right where I started scraping that bark off, the roots will first pop out there, and they'll even pop out of other places, but it's going to take them a lot longer. And then from this cutting here, the same thing is what you saw inside that enclosed area there. You'll have more sprouts start coming off the top of this. It's going to have multiple heads on it. I'm just going to stick it in an area that gets some sun, some, partial shade. The morning time I have a lot of really hard sun coming in here till about 12 o'clock. Then the sun gets on the other side of the house and it's shaded here. So I'm going to stick it in here nice and deep, right in front of these banana trees, right about there. Just push it in the ground. This is really good soil here, so I don't have to add anything to it. But that's the whole process with that cutting that's down there in the ground. And I just let it do its thing and it's gonna grow. And the reason I chose this area is because I really want to add some red to it. If you see the tea plants and stuff behind me, they kind of look nice, and this is a big green area, so we're gonna brighten it up by sticking that guy in there like that. And when he grows up and gets taller, it's going to look real nice, but you see that color that it's adding? And you should take off a bunch of these leaves, because you really don't want the plant to spend energy trying to support these leaves when it needs to be growing roots. And I hate doing it again because these are such pretty leaves, and you can get away with leaving that many. Same thing, that's pretty hard bark, but I'm just making a long straight scrape. I'm not digging down into the plant, I'm just scraping along it and just removing that bark. That really hard bark that will prevent the roots from coming out for a while. When you do this the right way, you stick it in the ground, it'll grow a lot faster. Let me show you how pretty this is going to be with a little bit of red in here. You see what I'm doing right there on the ground, right under the mulch? I know I have good soil there. The plants around it don't have really big roots, so I'm just pushing down in there. It's taking a little bit of pressure. And there it is. It's going to sprout roots and start growing from there. Check this out. I do have some nice pink on the caladiums and on some of these coleus and stuff down here, but this is going to get really tall. that could get 7, 8 foot tall, 10 foot tall if I let it just keep going. But I'm gonna keep topping it and making more plants. Every tea plant you see in this garden is a cutting. Let me show you some of the other cuttings that I put in here. Right here, these are all cuttings from last year. They got a little cold. It got down into the 30s, which wasn't good for them. If you look down at the base here, those were all stuck in the ground exactly like I just did with that other one. And they're doing fantastic. Other than the lubbers, those yellow dinosaur grasshoppers that eat everything, they love chewing up these pretty leaves. I'll show you a couple more that I have from cuttings up front here because there's different types of tea plants as well. As you can see, it's very easy to propagate a tea plant. You can also do that in a pot. If you're coming into the winter months, you don't want to just stick them in the ground outside. It's in the middle of the summer now, so I'm fine. It's going to grow roots quick. It's going to do good. But in the winter months, you want a little drier soil and you want to keep them protected. So if you start them in a pot and bring them, like, say if you have a back patio area, anywhere that's better than indoors because there's not enough humidity indoors, in my opinion. But you can start them in a pot and you'll notice some growth coming off of them and then plant them in the ground in the springtime. That's a good idea if you're doing it near the winter. But other than that, spring, summer, and early fall, you can plant them in the ground if you think they have enough time to get roots going. Here in Florida, we could probably do it straight in the ground year round. But you're going to see some shots pop up from some other plants that I filmed a little earlier on that have some of them just started on the ground, and you'll see me laying some of the sticks on the side and you'll see little sprouts coming out. You can do it that way to get multiple heads off of one stick. You could also just stick it in the ground like I typically do because you can control the way the plant grows up and things like that, which I like. So if you have any other questions on tea plants, just leave a comment down below. I'll do as many videos as you want on them, answer your questions as good as I can. And as always, if you see anything else in any one of these gardens that you want me to talk about that I've neglected to talk about, let me know. I'll do it, and let me know what topic you want to have covered on that plant. See you guys next week.